Welcome to the Ladies Kickin' Ass podcast, where we help you ignite your inner badass and create the service business of your dreams. I'm your host, Tanya Wilson, and together we'll dive into inspiring stories and expert coaching to set your journey on fire. Hello, badasses. Welcome back to another episode. Today's going to be a shorty but a good one, and it's definitely great timing because I know, as well as you know, that we have a busy next 2 to 3 months coming up on our hands as being working mamas in the service industry. And today we're going to dive into the topic that is just so relevant at this time of year, and that is cutting yourself some slack and giving yourself some grace as a mama during this busy season. And I am going to focus on you today as a mama in this. And maybe you're listening to this and you don't have any children. It is one of those things that if you're in a workplace with working mamas, also try to find some grace for them in the next couple of months because it's going to be completely crazy. We all know that the next few months can be a whirlwind with kids out of school and many of us juggling working in our businesses, on our businesses, creating something new, trying to keep passion alive with our spouse or a partner. We've got pets to take care of. We have social commitments, and then there's me time. And so you're like, how in the literal F am I going to fit all of this stuff into 24 hours? You're like, I just won't sleep so much. No, that's not a good thing to do either, because we're also going to focus this summer on taking better care of ourselves. And I know this sounds like a lot, and I'm kind of throwing it out there as I'm hoping somebody will jump on this journey with me because that is my big goal this summer. My kids have already been telling me how they remember how boring last summer was because honestly, I worked pretty much all the way through summer vacation last year. We have 2 teenage daughters, and my husband and I were busy working in the business last year so much that we didn't get to spend a lot of time with them. We didn't get to plan any fun vacations or even just a weekend getaway or anything like that. We really had just full force into the business. And this year we have made a pledge between all of us here in our family that we're going to try to do this a little bit differently. But let's first just actually admit what it is. Summer can be totally chaotic. And you can go crazy trying to keep up with all the struggles in the business and also trying to keep up with everything at home and keeping kids busy and occupied and making sure that they're taken care of. You may be working from home more than your office this summer. That may be super distracting. But let's just look at it for what it is. It's a season, and we all go through seasons. And this isn't our first summer that we're at home with all of the kids, even though every year when they get out of school, it feels like it's our first summer with them out. We can put things in place to make sure that the pressure doesn't get the best of us, that we don't feel crazy stressed and overwhelmed, because our kids can feel that. I don't want my kids to feel like they're a burden because they're out of school and I'm so busy doing all this stuff that I can be a kick-ass mom with them and a kick-ass boss at work. So let's just kind of talk about a few of the common struggles that we all have during the summertime. Number 1, managing schedules. Number 2, dealing with mom guilt. Stupid mom guilt, dealing with work guilt. If you are an entrepreneur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're at home with your kids, you feel guilty that you're not working. When you're at work, you feel mom guilt because you're not at home with your kids. We have to kick the shit out of that. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Or the pressure to feel like you're perfect, or the pressure to feel like you have to take your kids on some ridiculous European vacation or a cruise or Hawaii or Mexico or somewhere because that's where all their friends are going. Don't feel pressured that you have to do that too. You can make magical memories with your kids right in your kitchen. If you have the opportunity to do something like that, of course, that's super fun and it's a great way to make memories, but you can make memories on a budget too. So don't feel the guilt, which I know a lot of us moms do, feeling like you have to keep up with what everybody else's friends are doing during the summertime. If that doesn't fit into your budget or your timeline, it just doesn't. But communicate that with your kids and talk to them about what you're going to do instead of doing those things. You are not alone in where you are at right now. And what I would love to encourage everyone throughout this podcast, I'm just going to keep talking about it. Share your ideas with what you're doing with your kids and your family during the summertime. Tag Ladies Kickin' Ass on it, and we'd love to repost that so that we can continue to keep inspiring each other as moms on some fun things to do with our kids. You don't have to try to do this all on your own either. If you have a partner or a husband, you need to be having some real honest conversations with that person. I know many times as moms, we take on the world and we're going to figure it out and have everybody's schedules ready and do all this stuff. Stop it. There is no prize to be won for being the busiest person in the world other than going crazy feeling like shit every day. And we don't want to do that anymore. I would highly encourage you find some mama friends. And one of the best ways to do that is make friends with your kids' friends' moms. Like my son Cash has this incredible friend. His name is Jax, and his mom's name is Jen. And Jen is one of my favorite people. Jen and I could go sit at Urban Air, where our kids have memberships to go to a bounce park, and sit and have a couple of drinks and have a great conversation. And the kids are out playing and they're having a great time. Find things like this that you can do during the summertime. That's feeding my soul by being with my friend. It's feeding the kids' souls by being active and being with their friends. And there are some really cool ladies out there. So I would challenge you to get to know your kids' moms or your kids' friends' moms. That's a mouthful. Your kids' friends' moms and see what you can do. Talk to them. Everybody's on the same situation that you are on. Hey, you know what? Hey, why don't you have, I'd love to have Jax over to my house this afternoon. What day this week is really crazy for you that I can help you out with your kids? And try to do something like that and see if that might be a way for one, you to get some free time to get some things done. And two, that you can kind of switch off and do those things. If you're a single mom, this is an excellent way to be able to help still find some you time to get some work done or to just have some me time for yourself and not feel guilty about that. The other thing that I am super diligent on during the summertime is plan, plan, plan. I will be sitting down with my husband today. I'm recording this on Memorial Day. We are going to pull out the calendar for the next 2 months until these kids go back to school. And we are going to write down everything that we already know is on our schedule so that we all know what it is. We also hang it on our wall so our kids can see what it is. If your kids are getting older, let them know what the game plan is. If you're a single mama, this is still extremely important for you to do, is to put it down on paper. One, for you. Two, so that your kids can still see it. And make sure that you are going back and revisiting that every Sunday. Like I sit down with my husband every Sunday and we look at what our week looks like. Oh, so and so has this. This kid has this birthday party. Oh, we're going here. Oh, this kid's in summer camp. This kid's in summer school. This kid is, and we figure out who needs to be where and then figure out what your working schedule's going to look like for that week. Not only when you do this planning like this, you can then let your team know if you own and run a business, what your schedule is going to look like and when they can anticipate you being at the office. My big goal this year, where my kids are getting a little bit older, they like to sleep in a little bit. So, my big goal this year is to get up in the morning and to go to work from 6 a.m. to noon, and then I can be back here with them in the afternoon. I'll be back at lunchtime. They'll be ready to rock and roll. That still gives us great time to be able to go do things together in the afternoon or to plan something. If nothing is really going on, I can still get some work done here in my home office while I'm still at home with them in case they need something from me. But clearly communicating to your children when you will be home and sticking to that plan so that they feel important, that you're not brushing them off, and vice versa to your team at work. They know these are the days I'm going to be there from 6 to noon. One of those days I would like to set it up that it's like noon to 4, but maybe I will do that on one of the days that my stepchildren are here. So between my husband and I, we have 5 kids. So I have my 2 children all the time, and we have his kids half the week and every other weekend. So on our calendars, we will also write down the days that we have Jake's kids, the weekends that we have Jake's kids, and try to plan something as a family that we can do together on those weekends that we do have them so that we can make some memories all together during the summertime. It also helps us just know, okay, there's going to be 5 kids at home. And if you've ever left 5 kids at home all day long by themselves, don't. Even as teenagers, I mean, our age range is every 2 years, 16, 14, 12, 10, and 8. So 3 younger boys, shit can get pretty chaotic pretty fast. So one will take the morning shift, one will take the afternoon shift, and then someone will be here with them. And if it comes down to it and something happens, because we do run a service business, so sometimes things happen, we have 2 teenage daughters that can totally help out with that. Incentivize them a little bit. Throw them a $20 bill for watching the kids for the afternoon. Do something like that if you've got kids that are old enough to help out at home, but can also help incentivize them to do some extra in there. One thing that we do also during the summertime that is huge for us, every single kid in this family has chores, because you know what, we all live in this house and we're all going to help keep it up, and that is just a rule that we have here. And so before you get up and turn on video games, or before you get up and take off and do your things for the day, you will get your chores done. Not only is this teaching them responsibility, but it teaches them a sense of community as well, because now everybody is involved and everyone has to pull their own weight to make sure that this house continues to run the way that it does. It's so important. The kids have chores already during the school year, but I give them a few extra during the summertime because it is okay for them to help out more around the house. If you've got kids that are going to work and have their own job too, that's beautiful as well. Make sure you're putting that on the schedule too. One of the things I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to do is to, even if you keep them separate now, which I don't know how anybody does this, but if you have a separate work schedule and a separate family home schedule, personal schedule, mash those 2 puppies together for the next couple of months. I promise you, once you do this, if you keep them separate, you'll keep them together because you're like, how the hell did I keep track of 2 schedules once upon a time? Make sure that they're not overlapping each other. If Cash has got a birthday party, has to be from 2 to 4 on a Thursday because it's summertime, then I know that I'm not scheduling anything during that time. And if you're somebody that has an open calendar link where people can come in and schedule things with you, make sure that you have all of your stuff in one calendar that they can schedule from so that you're not having to pick and choose those things. Another thing that I would love to dive into here is, even though, great, we have a game plan, we're going to plan, we're going to schedule, we understand that it's chaotic, but we're also going to give ourselves some damn grace. And I want you to sit with that for a second, because you don't have to be a perfect mom to be a great mom. Letting some things slide and giving yourself a break is okay. Embrace the imperfections and understand that your best is enough. You don't have to check off everything on that mile-long to-do list this summer. Self-compassion is going to be crucial this summer for you to feel like your head is above water. Remember to be kind to yourself and recognize yourself for all the hard work that you're putting in. Because this is hard work, moms. And we rarely ever give ourselves credit for all the hard work that we put into building a business and building and running a family. It's a lot of work, and we need to start giving ourselves some credit for that. We have to let the guilt go and not feel like we have to be the one that does it all. If you're someone like me and you have a hard time asking for help, I challenge you today to find some things that you can ask for help with. Even if it's during the summertime and you're like, you know what? I cannot keep up with my lawn. I'm going to hire somebody to do it for a couple of months so that we can get over this. Hire somebody to help clean your house. Hire somebody to help do the little nuanced tasks that you have at your business. I'm going to be hiring someone to come into my business to help me with some of my social media marketing and some of the email marketing and things that I can tee up for them, but they can follow through and execute on. And it's going to help free up so much more of my time so that I can be here with my kids. Many times we like to say we can't afford to do that, but I would argue that you look at it from the flip side too, in understanding how much it's costing you to not have the help. Because time is our most precious commodity, and we cannot get time back with our kids. This is something I'm super diligent about this year is finding people that can help free up some time so I can work on passion projects like this podcast more frequently and also so I can spend more time with my family and attending to my kids. If the schedule has to change because of last minute needs at work or the other way around, maybe you've got a sick kid at home, you just need to take on this whole theory of being a super communicator this summer. If it's going to stray away from what you've announced to everybody as the schedule, make sure you communicate with them. It can be a simple text message to the office, throw it in Slack or whatever your communication manner is, and just let them know what your game plan is for the day, especially if people rely on you being there. Nothing frustrates people more than when they don't know what the plan is. I am such a planner. Even my son, who is 10, who from 5 on has said, "Hey, mom, what's the plan for tomorrow?" And I don't ever want to stray away from that for him because that's really where he feels his security is that he knows what the plan is for tomorrow. Again, if you are somebody that is really going to be struggling this summer with mom guilt or being, away from work and feeling that work guilt, a big part of that is a mental release in being able to say, no, I'm not going to do that this year. Many times when I am trying to deal with those things, lots of times I have a hair tie that I wear around my wrist just to pull my hair up because it's Arizona, it's hot all the time. And when I start feeling something like a negative thought creeping into my head, I just like will start playing with this hair tie and I'll just keep snapping it on my wrist. And I'm like, better thoughts, better thoughts. This isn't serving me right now. If I go to work to get work done and I'm constantly sitting there feeling bad about what I'm not doing at home as being a mom, or if I'm at work working on a spreadsheet or QuickBooks and then I'm on Amazon ordering guinea pig food again, like that is not serving either place of where I'm at. Be present where you are. If you've got to go to work for 4 hours, you got to go to work for 10 hours. Be there and give that shit all you've got. And then you can come home and shut it off and go on about your family. Many times we're trying to do too many things at one time. I know I am. I have massive squirrel brain. And so that is something that I really, really hugely focusing on is catching myself when I do those things or when I stray away or when I feel like maybe I'm getting interrupted too much at work. Close your damn door. It's okay for you to do that. Say, I need to have some time so that I can get things accomplished in here. I can be free at, give them a time. What that does for you also is a mental thing too, because I'm paying bills, for example. I now know I have 1 hour to get this shit done. I don't have time to get on Amazon and start buying guinea pig food because I have 1 hour to get this stuff done. Because after 1 hour, I need to be free so that I can talk to Dustin. Hold yourself accountable to whatever it is that you put on that schedule. Stick to it. Make sure when you're making that schedule too that you do not over commit to things. And that's where I want to jump into my last little segment here of one of the biggest hacks that I was told a couple years ago was establishing a parking lot. And I know this sounds weird, so stay with me. If you have a great idea, if you're entrepreneurial, you have 15 great ideas every day, at least per hour. During the summertime, let's try not to implement a whole lot of those new ones if you've got a lot of kids at home and you're trying to just have a thriving summer. Don't add more to your plate. In fact, I would highly encourage you to audit your calendar. And if it is something that is not crucial to the business or it is a non essential appointment at this time, move it to the parking lot. And what the parking lot is it's a little post-it note board or maybe a little segment in your notes app on your phone that says, this is a great idea, or this is an appointment that I'd like to make, or this is a connection I'd like to make, this is a meeting I'd like to do with someone, but I'm going to move it over here and then we'll revisit it when we're done with this season. Because there is nothing worse in your life to really damper the joy and damper the ability to thrive than overcommitting to activities or appointments or meet and greets or coffee dates or chats or anything that you don't really want to be at. One, you're not going to get anything out of that. Two, that's not serving you or your family or your business at this point. Let's just move it. I get that we want to make friendships and we want to have community and we want to do these things, but it's also a busy season. And if you're just really honest with people when they say, hey, let's get together, let's go have coffee, you know what? I would love to do that so much. But the next couple of months, I'm really focused on what I have to do in my business and spending a lot of time with my family. So, can we revisit this in September? I will be more than happy to reach out to you and we'll get something on the schedule. When you're honest with people, they're like, oh, wow. And it's really cool because it's almost like you give them permission to say, that's a great idea. Very few people are going to look at you if it's just kind of a let's get to know each other thing and say, oh, well, and be upset about that if you're just honest. I'm going to audit every part of my calendar. And to be real honest, I have open Calendly links where people can jump on and we can do coffee chats or we can do different things like that on specific days. I'm just going to block those out for the summer. I have a lot on my plate right now with my business and what I want to do with this podcast and my free time. And then having 5 kids at home during the summer, I don't need to be going to meet somebody new at Black Rock Coffee for 45 minutes that may or may not be a good fit. Screen what those are and only take the appointments that you really need to do. You do not have to say yes to everything. And by the way, Mama, just PSA here, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to follow it up with an excuse, and you don't have to tell people the reason why you said no. Don't overcommit and not show up. But commit to yourself and commit to your family and commit to your business for the next couple of months. And then you can start exploring some of those things again. It's okay. We don't have to do everything all at one time. Speaking of setting clear expectations, another big part of that is setting clear expectations with your kids. Establish times that you're going to be at the office and times that you're going to be at home, and then stick to those. I'm so guilty of this. I will tell my kids, I'll be home by 4, and then I look at my clock and it's 6:15 and I'm still at my office. So much so that they're just used to that. And I want to change that narrative in my family. When I say I'm going to leave at 4 o'clock, I need to start wrapping things up by 3:30. So then I can ask anybody if they need anything before I leave, and I'm out the door by 4. It's just as important to keep the commitments that we make to them as it is to the appointments that are on our calendar or the people that are working in our office. Many times we're like, well, they're still going to be there. I just got to get this one more thing done. I just got to do this. Keep your word. If there's anything that is super great in building confidence in someone and in yourself, it's keeping the promises that you make. It's so incredibly important. Same thing with your spouse or your partner. If you say you're going to be home by 4:30 to relieve them and they can go off and do something else, be home by 4:30. If there's something that comes up that is completely crazy that can't make that happen, you have to communicate. I think the biggest thing throughout this entire podcast is this summer is just going to be all about being a super communicator. Let everyone know what they can expect from you. And if it deviates from what you have communicated to them, let them know. Something that is super important that I love to do with my kids too is that they can plan on something every single day, whether that's dinner at a specific time, or we go for a walk, or we go to the gym together, and something that we're going to try to work on doing once a week, whether that's going to a park, going to a water park, going to the zoo, just getting out and about doing something, going for a drive, checking out a museum. We live in Arizona, so it's hot as balls all summer here. So we have to be kind of creative of things that we can go do. But there's lots of really cool things indoors as well that you can take the kids to go do once a month. During the summertime, they also have really cool passes. We have one here in our market. It's called like a pogo pass that you pay like $60 for it. Lots of schools sponsor them, so you can get them pretty inexpensive. But you can go to like couple baseball games with it. You can go to the zoo a couple times. You can go to an aquarium with it. They have different kinds of like urban air or like airsoft places or like really cool trampoline parks, things like that you can take your kids to during the summertime for a hugely discounted rate. Or even checking out Groupon during the summertime. Like living in Arizona, there are so many like four-plus star resorts here that have water parks in them that you can literally stay at for like $100 a night. And it includes the water park admission. Like it's so inexpensive. So if you have the means to do that, look into doing something like that, even if it's one during the summertime that you can save up for, that you can put it on the calendar and it's something that the kids can work towards and something that the kids have to look forward to. It's super, super important that they feel important during the summertime and that they just don't feel like they're a burden in any way, shape, or form. Another thing with that too is just getting them involved to help. How can they help? Like, if you've got a little bit older kids, make one of them responsible for making lunch for everybody every day. Aisley, you're 14 years old. Tuesdays, you make lunch for everybody. You let me know what you need, but you're going to make lunch for everybody. And it's one of those things where they get to own something and they also get to create something that they like. And they're also learning to serve their siblings and also help out at home being part of the community. I think that's going to be a fun thing that we're going to implement this summer. So just kind of throwing some things out there that we're trying to put in. Last but not least, I definitely want to remind you that during summertime, it can be crazy and chaotic, but there's also that precious me time that you need to have. You need to make time for yourself in there too. The sun comes up so early during the summertime. My big goal this year is to be in bed by 10 o'clock at the latest. And then I can get up in the morning at 5 a.m. And even if I spend 15 to 20 minutes journaling or even just sitting with myself thinking about stuff, I don't care if you get a cup of coffee and go sit out and listen to the birds for 10 minutes, walk around in the grass and ground yourself. It is a beautiful way to wake up and start your morning, creating that time for yourself. Journaling, I've shared so much on this podcast, has truly helped transform my stress levels and anxiety levels that I have dealt with for many, many years. I highly encourage you to find some time during your day, whether it's at the beginning of the day, the end of the day, or, if you're really good at it, both of those times, so that you can get your thoughts out on paper and calm yourself. Spend some time with yourself, just centering yourself, taking deep breaths. Get a meditation app. One thing that I love with breath work is the Mastery app. It's absolutely incredible. If you're not into stuff like that, totally get it, but give it a try once. Just give it a try and see what it can do for you. But it really comes down to during the summertime too, planning meals, making sure that your nutrition is still on spot. Many times during the summertime, we're just like, oh, we'll just barbecue, we'll do this, and we'll do this, or we do something really simple and easy, especially in Arizona because we don't like to cook because it's so hot. We don't want to heat our houses up. But what can you do to make sure that everybody's staying on track nutritionally and that everybody is still taking care of themselves during the summertime? It's all about planning, planning, planning. Remember too that if you're married or you have a partner in your life, you got to make time for them. With us, it doesn't change during the summertime, even though it's more crazy. Saturday nights are our date nights, and we hold to it like crazy. We don't schedule anything with anybody else on Saturday nights because that's our time to reconnect with each other. And if you're a couple that works together and you have the opportunity to, I would highly recommend, at least during the summertime, that you try to find at least a day during the week that you can have that connection point and just go to lunch with each other or create lunch at home together and send the kids outside to the park or something and get to have that time together so that they realize even though it's crazy with work and even though it's crazy with the kids, they're still very, very important to you. And